What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I will take you guys through my team selection for the upcoming Game Week 5. So as we usually do, going to start off the video with doing a quick review of Game Week 4 and looking at the talking points that game week had in store for us. Quite an interesting game week. Hopefully you guys managed to come out of it with a green arrow, and we'll see if we also got a green arrow as we look to continue this kind of good run of form we've been on in these opening couple game weeks of this Premier League season. We're then going to take a look at my Game Week 5 team selection before finally looking at my transfer plan. Now I know it won't be as exciting as bringing in Cristiano Ronaldo into our FPL teams, but hopefully it can raise the hype a little bit as we look to what transfer plans we could have going into the upcoming Game Week 5. So that's something you guys are interested in? Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. But before we get onto the Game Week 3 team review, I just want to ask you guys a simple question. Would you want your mini league rivals to see the transfers that you make before the game week deadline? No, of course you wouldn't, because it's private information. And that's where today's sponsor, Surfshot VPN, come in to assist you. So what is Surfshot VPN? Well, they're a virtual private network that allows you to protect your online identity by providing an encryption gateway between yourself and the browsing website, and then also allows you to change your browsing location to whatever you want around the world. The real world use cases for VPNs are absolutely endless, from getting cheaper hotels/flights due to your browsing location to protecting your information when doing a banking transaction on a public hotspot. Personally, I've used VPNs endlessly to browse country-locked content on Netflix, YouTube, and Twitter, and I also have relatives overseas that have used it for a similar use case. Surfshot VPN have hooked my viewers up with a coupon code Dayvy for 83% off. Why 83%? Well, they have mentioned that you guys are guaranteed to get 83 points in the next game week if you do use my coupon code. Only joking there, but I'm not joking about the 3 extra free months that you also will get using the link down in the description below. Surfshot VPN are also a 30-day money-back guaranteed company, so you guys have literally nothing to lose. So thanks a lot to Surfshot VPN for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the FPL content. So before we get onto that Game Week 4 team review, I just want to give you guys a reminder about the European football that is being played this midweek. So I am recording this video on Wednesday evening, just before those 9 o'clock kickoffs, or whatever time around the world the second fixtures kick off on Wednesday evening. If you guys are watching this on Thursday, you will have the Europa League fixtures kicking off. But please, just a little bit of a reminder to please keep note of your FPL options in these European fixtures, and just take note of 1, their injuries, and 2, the playing time. So I think tonight it's going to be Liverpool and Man City that feature in the Champions League. So that's probably going to be the biggest fixture to look out for, is Liverpool versus AC Milan. So I really am hoping that no injuries are sustained in that game, especially to the likes of Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, or maybe even Diego Jota. So obviously I won't know this as I'm recording this before that fixture, but I'm pretty sure that most of those players should come out without injuries, and hopefully their playing time is also monitored a little bit. If you guys do own those Spurs assets, also pay attention to this new Conference League, as they are obviously playing in that. But the fixture that I think will also carry some importance is going to be that Thursday night fixture of West Ham. So a lot of us FPL managers own these West Ham assets. As far as I know, Antonio can play that fixture since he has been red carded in the Premier League. So suspended for the Prem, so I'm pretty sure he'll start in the Europa League, but also a player like a Ben Rama. Just monitor those game time minutes so we can get a nice prediction of who starts for this upcoming Game Week 5. So as long as you guys are taking note of 1, the playing time, and 2, the injuries, you'll be perfectly fine for the press conferences on Thursday and Friday as we look to finalize those FPL transfers and those decisions going into that Game Week 5 deadline, which is on Friday night. But now going on to the Game Week 4 review, and as I said, did we get a green arrow? Did we get a red arrow? Well, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an embarrassing story here. So actually, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you would have seen this. I posted a tweet on, I think it was Monday night, saying, achievement unlocked, get a green arrow on a -8, because at that time, after the game was updated, FPL had me at about 70k. So what happened? There was a little bit of a glitch in the system. Apparently the Friday night points were loaded for Saturday, or the Saturday for Sunday, or something like that, and we actually ended up getting a red arrow. Now it was quite a minuscule red arrow, to be honest. We're currently sitting just outside that 90k mark, whereas in Game Week 4 we're sitting just below it, so not really that much of a red arrow, to be honest, but a little bit of an embarrassing moment there for you guys, and you probably laughed at me if you did see that tweet. But the total points that we managed to get was 76. We did take a -8 hit. 4 total transfers done in that deadline with Dayvy live stream prior to Game Week 4's deadline. So that obviously took us to a total of 68. This was above the average of 57, which just shows you, although we're at this early stage of this Premier League season and this FPL season, the ranks are quite condensed in that top 100k and it's still quite competitive. So about 10 points higher than the average was not enough to get a green arrow, and we're just going to have to get about 20 points more than the average, it seems, to push up the ranks. So starting off with the bench, because we actually do have some interesting bench stories and talking points to go over. Not about Foster and Scarlett. Unfortunately, these two players probably won't get many minutes. Foster currently nursing an injury as far as I know, so he might not even be on the bench for Watford in the upcoming game weeks. And then Luke Ayling obviously played Liverpool, wasn't really expecting him to get a clean sheet, but the player I want to talk about is Omar Badmadeli. So yes, he managed to start for Norwich against Arsenal at centre back on the weekend, and I know this might not seem like quite a big thing, as it is Norwich and their defence is usually quite bad, so owning a defender from them isn't too great, but I just really wanted another bench option. And Omar Badmadeli, although he might not be the most nailed Norwich defender, I still might rely on him for some couple of starts over this nice run of fixtures that Norwich do have. So that was probably the best thing out of the bench to come this game week, just Omar Badmadeli starting a fixture. He did have a price drop, unfortunately, so it comes in I think now at 3.9 million, but we're just going to take that price drop, and I'm pretty sure he'll be on my bench for most of this Premier League season. But then going on to the starting 11, and starting off with the goalkeeper as we usually do, Sanchez racking up a nice clean sheet there for Brighton. Really nice to have your 4.5 goalkeeper kind of returning every now and again. It seems like Brighton are getting on a little bit more of a defensive run right now, and I think they're going to need it with some tough fixtures coming up. So I was really happy with those 6 points from Sanchez. Unfortunately, not too many save points there, so just the 6 points, the 6 kind of base points for a clean sheet from a defender. But then going on to the rest of the defense, we also had some really good performers. So the lowest performer of the defense is going to be Luke Shaw with only 5 points. Now, he did manage to get an assist against Newcastle on the weekend, but unfortunately, Newcastle also scored. So it seems like United are like Liverpool a couple of seasons ago, where the defense is good, but they are conceding like one chance a game, and the opposition team always scores even though they only have that one chance. So unfortunately, no clean sheet there for Luke Shaw, otherwise he would have been on for a massive haul in game week 4, similar to Trent Alexander-Arnold, a massive 12 points there from the English defender, racking up a clean sheet, 3 bonus points, and then also the assist. So no, there was kind of a big debate about Trent. Those of you who were on your wild card, it was a debate whether to have Trent or to go for Lukaku or Ronaldo. And as you can see in game week 4, although Lukaku and Ronaldo both actually outperformed Trent with getting 13 points, Trent still managed to match them with about 12, and he's about 7.5 million. So that's so much more cheaper than these kind of premium attackers that you're spending more money on. And if you're not going to captain them, as we discussed in last week's Ultimate Guide, they might not really be worth it. So a nice little mini haul from our star defender is always going to be welcomed. And then Semedo, our new addition to the defense from Wolves, also managed to return a clean sheet. Now, if you guys did watch the highlights or did watch the Wolves fixture, you would have seen that Semedo could have been on for a massive haul after picking up 2 big chances. And when I did look at them, he should have honestly scored. So Semedo, a little bit unlucky maybe not to return more points. And if you do compare him to Marcel, his cheaper counterpart on the other kind of wing-back position, you would have seen that he returned 2 assists, getting a lovely 12 points. So a little bit disappointing with Semedo. Obviously could have got more points, but I mean, a clean sheet's always going to be good, and at least we're seeing that he has good stats, so hopefully in these upcoming game weeks he can also haul for us. Then going on to our midfield department, where we had some of the lowest scorers of our FPL teams. We're going to start off with the low performers of Benrahma Traore, who only returned 3 points. We then also have Jota, our new addition into the lineup, who also only returned 3 points after really having a couple of chances that I thought that he should have put away. Unfortunately with Jota, it wasn't even his own fault for him not returning. We had players like Sadio Mane who just simply had lost their shooting boots in game week 4 and weren't kind of converting any chances. I'm pretty sure Jota should have had at least 2 assists in that game against Leeds. But then we also had Greenwood, who managed to assist Ronaldo by getting a deflected shot. So I'm happy with those 5 points, but I might have expected a little bit more considering that United did score 4 goals at the end of that Newcastle game. Then Mo Salah returning a lovely goal assisted by Trent, so it was kind of a dream goal there. So if you guys managed to captain Mo Salah, said he was a little bit of an underrated option. Unfortunately, this week he actually underperformed considering Lukaku and Ronaldo both returned more points. But I mean, 8 points from Salah is always going to be nice to have, and just shows you what a consistent option he is this Premier League season. Then go on to our final department, the forwards, where there was a lot of news and a lot of talking points to cover. First of all, start off with the good things. Cristiano Ronaldo, our captain, returning 13 points, doubled to 26 after getting 2 goals on his second debut for United against Newcastle. 2 great goals, to be honest. The first one, a little bit of a poacher's finish, with the second one being his kind of standout goal of that fixture. It just kind of shows you the risk that it was worth because it is Ronaldo. So, I mean, massive performance there from him, and it kind of looks like he's definitely going to be on most set pieces, penalties, free kicks, that sort of thing. So I would keep my eyes on him if you guys don't own him, but I probably think you might have missed the boat if you don't have him right now. Then our final player to talk about is going to be Antonio from West Ham, picking up 2 yellow cards, resulting in a red card in I think the last minute of stoppage time. So super disappointed with him because I actually thought that Southampton fixture was going to be quite good for him, but in the end kind of blanking and going one step further, not even blanking, getting negative points. So -1 points from him, but fortunately he has returned some points in the previous game week, so not really too disappointed with him, and I'm just hoping that he can come back firing after the suspension, which is only going to be 1 game. So how did you guys get on in game week 4? Let me know in the comments down below. Pretty sure most of you would have had a better game week than me, considering that I took a -8 hit. So let me know how big those green arrows were, and if they were red, how bad was it? So now going on to our Game Week 5 team, and the reason why I wanted to go over the Game Week 5 team is I always like to give you guys some background, some context on what we're currently dealing with before we look at the transfers. So we are going to be benching Antonio right now, so you can see there that he is first on my bench, but he probably will be third considering he's suspended, and that results us in a 4-5-1 formation. So quite an interesting formation there, can't lie. I haven't really played this formation many times in my FPL career. This might actually be the first time that I am doing it, but just considering the options in midfield that we have, always going to stack the midfield department, and because Antonio's dropped out of our front 2, we unfortunately have to bring in a 4th defender. So I did cover this talking point quite well in the Ultimate Guide, so go check that video out if you guys haven't. We'll probably put it in the comments or the description down below if you guys do want to go check it out. Would appreciate the support. But now going on to our Game Week 5 team, the rest players on the bench, not much to talk about there. Omobad Madeli might not even start. Then obviously Scarlett and Foster probably won't play either. But going on to the goalkeeper, Sanchez actually has a relatively tough game against Leicester. Although it is a home game, Leicester have been a little bit hit or miss in this Premier League season. So maybe we can get a clean sheet out of Sanchez, or at least some save points I would expect. But I think with that Brighton defense kind of improving slightly over these past couple game weeks, I do think there could be a potential of some defensive returns. Our backfield 4 actually has some relatively good fixtures. Considering that we're not starting Antonio, that kind of leads their main goal threat out of that fixture. So maybe a Luke Shaw could be on the receiving end of some defensive and maybe even some attacking returns. I think this season will be quite good for Luke Shaw, considering that those crosses will be met by Ronaldo. So I'm expecting his kind of attacking threat and his attacking threshold to go up quite a bit. This will be one of the last chances for Luke Shaw, I feel, because come game week 7, when those United fixtures get a little bit tougher, I'm expecting to take him out for one of the Chelsea assets. Going on to our other premium defender, we have Trent Alexander-Arnold against a Crystal Palace side that had a relatively good performance against 10-man Spurs. So I think that will only boost their confidence, but because this is an Anfield fixture, I'm expecting Liverpool to be quite resilient and quite strong defensively, and that's why I think Trent could be a nice option. I have even seen Trent to be considered as a Campsy option from a differential point of view, but I don't think I'd extend my hope in him that much. The next 2 defenders are going to be Semedo against Brentford, a side that have had a good start to the season against Arsenal, but then kind of dipped off since then, and Wolves defensively have been super strong. If Semedo can keep up with those attacking positions that he has been getting in, I'm expecting some attacking returns in the next couple game weeks. Our final defender that we will be playing instead of Antonio is going to be Luke Ayling against a Newcastle side that is an away fixture, and Leeds have been also a little bit shaky defensively, whereas Newcastle, if Callum Mawson's back, will probably put on a show for their home crowd. So I'm relatively worried about this fixture for Luke Ayling, but I mean, I'm going to take the chance on him instead of Antonio, and that allows me to maybe stack a transfer instead of taking Antonio to Bamford. The midfield department is absolutely stacked for this upcoming game week. We have Mo Salah and Diego Jota against Crystal Palace, and I actually forgot to include the Campsy debate on here, but I will definitely be captaining Mo Salah. A little bit of a no-brainer there. If you guys aren't captaining Mo Salah, just be prepared to come up against some very high effective ownership, as there aren't that many good fixtures in this game week, unfortunately. Diego Jota, I'm expecting him to start again after Firmino has been missing from training, so I'm hoping that he can pay off that hit that I did take before game week 4, as this is a relatively good game for Liverpool's point of view. The next 3 more budget options come in with Greenwood against West Ham away. Now this is quite a tough game for United, and I'm a little bit worried about Greenwood. Not really as worried as I was when the starting 11 for that Champions League fixture was announced yesterday, when he was on the bench for United. But after them losing to Young Boys, I do think this is going to show Ollie that if he doesn't start Greenwood, this is what's going to happen. Obviously just the joke there, they did only have 10 men, so I'm expecting Greenwood to feature on the weekend, and I'm hoping that he can continue this good run of form that he's been on in terms of these attacking returns. Now, Adama Traore, we did bring him in last game week, and he has a Brentford fixture. I'm a little bit worried about Adama. I do think I probably should have gone for Ismail Assar, and the main reason for this is that kind of against these lesser opposition, or these opposition that aren't really expected to beat Wolves, it seems like they put on quite a low block, and this is kind of hindering Adama Traore's attacking threat. You guys do know with Adama, the best chances he has is when he's on the counter-attack, and against these low block sides, he unfortunately isn't getting too many opportunities. But I still do have hope for Adama, and I just hope that he manages to return something from an attacking point of view one of these game weeks and continue this run of about 2 goals, 2 assists in the past Premier League seasons. We then go on to Ben Rama, who is the question mark of my current starting 11. I'm going to talk about him in my transfer thoughts next, but I just think with him getting substituted on that 62-minute mark, we'll monitor his minutes in the Europa League on Thursday night, so just keep that in mind as you look to maybe if he's going to start on the weekend, if he won't. But over these past couple games, hasn't looked as strong ever since I brought him in. So sorry, it seems like I have broken Ben Rama, but hopefully maybe against United, although I do own Luke Shaw, I would hope that he manages to get an attacking return if I do manage to keep him. The final play to talk about there, the main man himself, is going to be Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7, against a West Ham side that have been quite resilient, but unfortunately this season haven't been all that defensively, conceding a couple chances and goals in the opening 4 fixtures. So I do think Ronaldo could get something out of this game, but my hopes aren't too high for him, and that's why I'm not going to go for him as my captain. This will probably be Ronaldo's second last fixture in my Premier League team as I look to shift him on for Lukaku, similar to kind of a Luke Shaw scenario. United's fixtures get a lot harder, and I think those Chelsea fixtures are just a bit too hard to ignore. So now going on to my transfer thoughts for this upcoming game week. So right now the transfer that I am considering is going to be Ben Rama out to either Rafinha or Ismail Assar. I could also do Antonio out for Bamford, but right now I don't think I'm going to be doing that move, considering that Antonio does have Leeds up next, which I think is quite a favourable fixture to be honest. So Ben Rama, although he does have the same fixtures that Antonio does, I just think that he doesn't carry the same attacking threat that Antonio does, and that's why he will probably be in the receiving end of a transfer out if I was to make a transfer. Now I always could just bank the transfer, but I just think that United fixture for West Ham is going to be a tough one, but after watching the Young Boys game, maybe not. But the thing is that United probably will have 11 men, so they probably will put a bit more of a solid defensive performance on in that fixture. So Ben Rama, that's the transfer out. Maybe if I do make it, I probably will wait for the press conference news. We have had news that potentially Bamford could be injured, but I probably wouldn't look too much into that. And the thing about Rafinha is the stats are looking so good. Now Ismail Assar is the more of a differential point of view, the more of an explosive option, has a kind of Norwich up next, which is a great fixture from my point of view, but it's just about Watford not being in the best attacking form right now, and the stats are looking too great from Ismail Assar and Watford's point of view, and that's probably the only reason why I might not consider him. But right now I'm waiting for those European fixtures to conclude and then also the press conferences to happen, so I'll probably only make this move in the deadline stream on Friday evening. So just to go a little bit more in depth into this kind of transfer decision, what I decided to do was go over to fantasyfootballfix.com and basically show you guys how I have been deciding on my transfer. So I kind of look at it in 2 different factors. The first factor is going to be projected points, which thanks to Fantasy Football Fix algorithm, they do give us quite nice projected points over the next 5 game weeks. So if you guys look there under the player icons and player names, you can see projected points for the next 5 game weeks, and actually all 3 of these players are quite closely related, so all kind of around that 20-point mark, which just shows you guys how kind of close this transfer decision is actually going to be, and the upside to it might actually not be as high as we expected, and therefore I might just keep Ben Rama for the next couple. The next factor though is going to be on the fixtures, and that's where things kind of spice up a little bit. So Ben Rama's next 3 fixtures, United's not great, Leeds away and then Brentford at home are quite good fixtures in my opinion. Now of course we are going to have to factor in kind of these cup competitions, this Europa League rotation, that maybe Ben Rama will be a factor, but I don't actually think it will. I think Ben Rama's pretty nailed in that starting 11 for West Ham, but then from then onwards, Everton away, Spurs, Aston Villa, Liverpool, not the best fixtures in the world, and I definitely think that I'll probably look to take him out after that. Now we go on to Rafinha, who probably has the best fixtures in the upcoming future, or at least the medium term. I mean, just look at that sea of green, as we always say. Great fixtures from Leeds' point of view. I really do think that the Leeds and the Wolves fixtures are fixtures that you guys should be targeting with those transfers, and that's why Rafinha does look like quite a good option. The other thing to factor in is that I think most managers will own a Leeds attacker in these next couple game weeks, and therefore I want a little bit of coverage from that Leeds attack because they usually are quite an attack-heavy side, and I am expecting a couple of goals, a couple couple of wins out of these upcoming fixtures. The last player is going to be Ismaila Sarr, who's actually predicted to score the most points out of these 3 options, and these next 2 fixtures, you can't simply get better than these. Norwich and Newcastle, 2 of the defenses that you guys should be targeting with these are kind of players to bring in. If you were going to take a 1-week punt, chances are it's probably going to be against Newcastle or Norwich, and that's why Ismaila Sarr for me is the more explosive option. Also, something that I've actually considered is getting Ismaila Sarr in for the next 3 game weeks and then bringing Rafinha in after that, because these next 3 fixtures, Norwich, Newcastle and Leeds, could probably be quite strong for Watford and Ismaila Sarr as a whole. After that, things get a little bit more tricky. You got Liverpool, got Everton, then a Southampton game, which is pretty good. Arsenal probably ever showed the defense when they do play Watford. So I think in terms of Ismaila Sarr, it would definitely be a punt. And if I was to decide to wildcard in game week 8 or game week 7 onwards, I think he's definitely the player that you guys should be looking at if you are going to use that wildcard in those specific game weeks. But I do personally think that Rafinha is probably the safe option to go for. But when we do look at the projected points, it might actually be just worth keeping Benrahma for the next 3 fixtures, and then we can assess the situation after that. But this is basically wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Hopefully you'll be seeing you guys in the Friday night deadline with Dayvy live stream, where we will hopefully be doing that 1 transfer if we do anything. But I will be there to answer your questions as always, so hopefully I'll see you there. And also thanks to Surfshot for sponsoring this video. Hopefully you guys check them out, link down in the description below. I'll be signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.